So essentially, I'm going to ask these few questions, David. First, if you want to introduce yourself and just who you are, uh, yeah, a little bit about you and about Mexico and what you love about Mexico, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, of course. So I'm David Mota de la Parra for a long last name because we all have them. I'm 41 years old. Um, I studied psychology and anthropology, and I work on community social projects. So going to communities in different places and try to help out and build something beautiful together. And Mexico is amazing. uh, of course, I was born here and grew up here, and I think that is one of the big gifts that I've been handed, like to begin life with, just to be in a place that is so full of color and flavor and tradition and diversity and warmth. Like Mexican culture is so loving and welcoming and hugging. So I love those things about my culture of origin, and it's things that I bring with me everywhere I go. My neighborhood, Coyoacan, it's a lovely part of the city that was like a different city, but then the Mexico City grew and included it into it. But it's quiet and it's cobblestone, and you have all of these beautiful old houses from different colors. And although you're in the middle of the city, you're in a quiet place that feels like traveling even within Mexico. That's a neighborhood where Frida Kahlo grew up,
Oh,
where Leo
wow.
Trotsky spent his time, but also it's been an area, like at least for me growing up, it was sort of the hippie neighborhood. It was a place where you went to take like classes on dancing or painting different things. So that is my favorite. That's those are the streets that I can walk over and over again and always be in love with them.
Oh,
In
cool.
there, ice creams. There's some really great ice creams, especially around the main square. And aguas frescas, just fresh juice from whatever the fruit of the season is, which are amazing. And it was my way of understanding what were the fruits of the season, just being aware of what were the juices that they were given. Um, and I don't know, there's lots of little side streets that you can always go to and discover something. So I love that. Um, I really like the historic city center. Uh, Again, it was the jewel of the colonial empire, right? So you have all of these churches and old buildings that have been transforming throughout history. So some of them now are like neighborhoods where people live or where they sell stuff, or some have been turned into museums. Mexico City is one of the cities with most museums in the world. I think the second, just after Paris.
Oh, wow.
So you can always go and explore something, and it's in a beautiful location, and it's very interesting museum. It might be very niche. There's like the museum of shoes or whatever. Like you can really go into detail, but always in these beautiful locations and exploring these places. And it's almost never ending. Like you can always go and explore a new area, and you're gonna find something. Chapultepec, the forest, park forest in Mexico City. It's massive. It's has lots of like beautiful fountains. Great place to go for a ride bike or have a little picnic. The Museum of Anthropology, one of my favorite museums in the world, and I'm a nerd for museums. And it's um, what else? There's a little like forests around Mexico City. La Marquesa with its little river going all the way down into the city. Um, Roman Condesa, which I still go all the time to. It's kind of the hipster neighborhoods. They're lovely. They're very hipstery, but I like it. They're all really nice.
I love that. Okay, sweet. And then what are, I guess, the best? So, and all pretty much all those are free. Besides museums, probably cost some money, right, to go into.
And then, like, even museums, like, except for the anthropology museum and a couple of museums, most museums are free on Sundays.
Okay.
So,
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Cool. And then what are some not to miss local dishes of Mexico?
Uy.
I know there's a lot. It's a
uh,
very culinary country, but yeah, what are your favorites?
and also a very, like, street food country. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of those places every corner has something tasty to it. Uh, Full disclosure, I'm vegetarian, so I might be biased.
Yes.
But tacos are really good, and I
Yes.
go for the vegetarian version. But, like, I think going for a taco in any corner is an experience that you should have when you're in Mexico. Um, baked sweet potatoes,
Oh.
camotes. There's these little charts that go around the city, and all of a sudden you're in your house and you hear a whistle, and it's that chart that is letting out the steam, and then you run out and eat like a deliciously freshly baked sweet potato. I like that. Esquites and, like, elotes, so corn, I guess, like either in a cup or like in a little soup kind of thing,
Okay.
with chili and cheese and lemon, as everything in Mexico with chili, cheese, and lemon. And, like, that's also something that I really enjoy. Mm, Mole, I love mole. Again, I think similarly to what I said with the fruits that change with every season, I think every month in Mexico has a particular dish, a typical dish of that month, and they're all delicious.
Oh, awesome. So each month has something that's kind of in season and a traditional dish. Okay. Great.
Exactly. So, for example, right now we're around Easter, and there's lots of Easter desserts
Oh.
that, like, we used to celebrate sort of the religious aspect of it. But even if you're not religious, that became part of the culture in this time of year with capirotada. And, like, that, really, I can think of a dish pretty much each month.
Nice. That's awesome.
All with the seasons.
Cool. Okay, awesome. And then what is a hidden gem in your opinion in Mexico City? What's like something that you're like not many people know about it, but it's something very special and you think people should see it?
So there's Xochimilco, which I think it's known enough.
Yeah.
It's in the south of the city, and people go there only to the main canal, and they have like a little party there. That's
Okay.
a way to celebrate birthdays, for example.
Oh,
So
okay.
you rent a little boat and you go through the main canal, and there's music and mariachis and food, and that on itself is already super nice. But that's by no means a hidden gem.
Okay.
The hidden gem, then leave that area, the pieces area, and go through the little water paths where farmers are farming, like, corn or flowers or different things, either to, well, to consume themselves or to sell, but like sort of small scale. And then as you continue through those paths, you can see, like, all the wildlife that used to live in the lake where Mexico City was built. And most of that lake has dried out, but Xochimilco still has that.
Oh,
So I
cool.
was there just last week, and we saw pelicans and, like, so many birds, and it's beautiful and it's green, and you really feel like you're discovering something. I think that's if not a secret, something so rarely visited that even as a local, when I go there, I feel surprised every time.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, cool. So something that's like that's super unique. That's okay. Yeah, because I don't think I've ever even heard of doing that. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. And then the and this would be all of Mexico. what's your favorite place in Mexico? So in the entirety of Mexico, if you were to just pick one spot, what would your favorite place be? I know it's really difficult. You can name a few if you want.
Just one.
Yeah. How about let's go top three?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
um, mm, so there's an area called the Huasteca Potosina. I'm like, I love water. I
Yeah.
love waterfalls. I love like bodies of water where I can swim. Like I will do that every time. And this area is sort of like North Mexico, maybe 4 or 5 hours away. And it's where the mountains trap all the water that is coming from the Atlantic, and then it creates these little oases. And
Oh
it's
wow.
green and lush, and there's oh so many waterfalls, and it's just stunningly beautiful nature wise. And culturally, it's a sort of cultural enclave for an indigenous group that has this beautiful clothing and traditions and typical food from them that I had never tried until I went to that region. Um, and within that area, there's also the surrealist castle, we call it.
Oh cool.
It's like this British dude who came and built this surrealist structure within the jungle. So you have like
Wow.
stairs and windows hanging out from trees, and it's just like very magical.
That's
So that
awesome.
area, the water and magic of that area could be a first one. Um, then the state of Chiapas in the south, um, like because of my studies, but I think beyond my studies, I'm somebody really interested in culture. So like this, the souther you go in Mexico, the most prevalent the indigenous groups are.
Right.
So traveling South Mexico sometimes feels like traveling in another country to me, because people are speaking all of these indigenous languages all the time. Spanish is their second language, so naturally they would be all of these sounds that are different and flavors that are different and traditions that are different, and they're really beautiful. They're descendants from the Mayans, so there's also amazing archaeological sites hidden in the middle of the jungle, and you feel like an old-timey explorer, right? You have to like go and do a hike, and all of a sudden there's a pyramid, and you're so excited, and you hear a jaguar, and you're super scared, and it's not a jaguar, it's just a monkey, but
That's
uh,
awesome.
and then the third one, mm, let me think. I'm not like it's not a proper ranking. It's just a diversity of
Yes.
landscapes. Then I could go to the desert, sort of central Mexico is where many of the mining towns were in colonial times. So you have these beautiful colonial buildings. Many of them are becoming almost ghost towns.
Ah.
So you have, yep, like people are moving to different cities or to different places. So you have these beautiful, beautiful towns in the middle of silent deserts with all the plants and cacti and all of this beauty. And then you enter the towns, and the towns feel like the desert as well
Ah.
because they're so quiet now. So those would be my
That
three experiences.
that's awesome. Okay, cool. And I haven't been to any of those, so I really now I really want to go. Next time we're in Mexico, we're definitely gonna go. Okay, cool. And then best times to visit Mexico. In your opinion, like in terms of months, what of out of the year? What are your favorite times?
Again, Mexico, massive, massive.
Right.
So it's hard to like say overall, but the rainy season starts in May
Okay.
and it goes from May to September.
Okay.
Um, I love the rainy season, like because it's like things get green and rivers grow bigger and like you can jump in more water.
Yeah.
And pleasant. Like it in general, yes, it rains a lot, but it's not something that's gonna stop you from doing like it's not an all day rain. It's
Right.
gonna rain for a couple of hours and then you can continue doing anything that you wanted to do. And then again, dry season is great if you want to go to the beach and stay a day lounging.
Yeah.
You want it to be a sunny day, so that would be more like from October to April.
Okay. Okay, great. And then it sounds like for me, ideal trip length, you probably want to be there longer. There's so much to do in Mexico, right? What like if you could do a trip, would you recommend people going for at least 2 weeks or more to?
So, from my friends that have come and visit and sort of wanted to see a bunch of things in Mexico, of course, if you just come to Mexico City, it's different. But like
Right.
people who wanted to see 3 or 4 things throughout, I would say 3 weeks is good.
Okay.
And the most typical itinerary from my friends, but also from what I hear, is like sort of arriving in Mexico City, going to Oaxaca, which is again a beautiful state with lots of culture, and then sort of going into Chiapas, this jungly area with Mayan influence, and then going up to the Caribbean Sea to relax at the end and then fly out from Cancun. I
Cool.
would say that 3 weeks is a nice, lovely trip.
Awesome. And then the other biggest thing, just the culture in general. Are there any events culturally that Mexico has that is nowhere else in the world that people should go and see for themselves and check out, like a different an event or a day? Yeah.
Like my mind is trying to summarize. um, Probably what is most known now around the world is Dia de Muertos,
Right.
which is November 1st and 2nd. Um, but the celebrations are actually much longer, so they begin like a week before and they end like 3 or 4 days later. Um, I think the way we relate to the image of that is very different and very unique, and like it's something beautiful to see. Also, like one has to be aware that it's becoming so popular that you might come and then not experience the real thing because
Right.
the real thing is getting a little bit overrun.
Yeah.
So yes, you need some patience to find the true experience. Even if you don't find the true experience, the aesthetically beautiful scenes that are placed all around the country and the city are really, really nice. Around December, there's something called Posadas. Is 9 days of celebrations before Christmas, and that's where the origin of the piñata is, and it's just
Ah.
people from the community gathering up, celebrating, breaking a piñata, lighting up some candles, and singing some songs about asking for refuge, um, in representation of like the preparation of Christmas. So that's like those I love. Like I think it's a great opportunity to have the community feeling of Mexico.
Right.
Um, and then what else? Like around Easter, there's lots of celebrations, actually indigenous celebrations that are amazing because they are reinterpretation or mix of their original religions mixed with Catholicism, and then there's these beautiful, crazy things happening where like Jesus helps you to fight the demon of destruction, and he wins and is born again. Like it's really cool. Um, what are like then you have all the natural cycles, sort of like the monarch butterflies that
Right.
come here by millions, and then they land in this forest. This is around winter, and just walking through these forests with trees that are bending from the weight of butterflies is amazing. So similarly, like come any month and figure out what the great thing is, because there's something great happening.
Yeah, one that comes to mind for me is the turtle season as well, because in Mexico you have 6 out of the 7 turtle species that actually lay eggs there. I think you're the country that has the most diverse turtle species that come and lay their eggs there. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. And I didn't the monarch butterfly. I remember them coming through home, but I didn't realize they all went to Mexico. That's super cool. All right.
Mhm.
Let's see if I have any other questions on here for you. No, that's it. So yeah. Any? How about this? Any parting words for anyone who wants to visit Mexico? What would you tell them? Any like fun little thing that you want to part with?
Oh, I don't know if it's fun, but like it's meaningful at
Okay.
least. Uh, Come with enough time to connect with people. I think the most beautiful thing about Mexico is the connection that you can have with the locals. That is so easy and so brilliant, and it's gonna create some of the best memories. So come, open arms, ready to be hugged, and have a great time.
Thank you, David. I love you, and I can't wait to give you a big hug sometime soon. Um,
Let's do that. And we go to that I mentioned.
yes, I would love that. Please.